And boom, according to that, we are live. I have upgraded the setup. So not only do we have 2.5 Oyajis and a guest, but for the first time since I switched to StreamYard, we have a full 1080p high definition resolution. So yeah, great to see everybody. Great to see you both, Victor and Marcos. How you doing?
It's all good. It's all good, man.
Yeah, I like it. So what's the quality on this camera here right now?
I don't know about your camera, but the broadcast itself, the screen is supposedly broadcasting, live streaming in 1080p now, whereas I was always doing 720p. So it doesn't improve your camera, but it probably improves the output. So yeah,
cool.
We've got people in the comments.
All right.
So,
would you like to introduce our guest first, since we've got a guest, and that's very special because we just have each other usually. So today we're having threesome.
Indeed. No. So going back to the old pattern of having a guest, which is always fun. But yeah, so the guest is I don't know. We've been interacting on and off like for years now, I think. But basically, whenever a conversation about AI sort of comes up, Marcos is the man. You've got like an AI, generative AI sort of art related sort of business going. Whenever the conversation comes up, you're generally the best informed person in the room. Victor and I were talking on 2.5 Oyajis the other week about all this AI stuff. And Victor's like, wow, I'd really like to talk to someone about this who knows what they're talking about. And I'm like, hey, I know a guy.
I know a guy who knows a guy. Yeah.
I know a guy. So, yeah.
I'd like to test out Marco's credentials first, if you don't mind.
Should.
Okay. So, first question to see if you really know AI is when does Skynet become aware?
Well, I've been instructed by my handler to not say anything. So
well, there you go.
Oh well, the actual answer is August 29th, 1997. But so
I know,
long time ago.
It's already too late.
On those kinds of numbers, so yeah.
So Marcos, have you seen the Terminator movies though?
Oh yeah, many.
Okay.
I just stuck with like people's names and dates. So if you ask me like a particular date,
no worries. I was wondering if we'd stepped into he's a Trekkie and we're Star Wars fans type of situation, but luckily that's not the case. All right, that's good. No, I'm not going to give you any more of those questions. Just want to start it off. But could you tell us your kind of? So I don't really know your qualifications or so. Yeah, what do you do? Yeah. Well, how are you an AI expert?
Well, I don't consider myself an AI expert, but I think I know more than a lot of people. Yeah, like I mostly work with generative AI in the sense of I create images with AI. AI in this case is just a tool in the process of creating content. At first, I started with all the Stable Diffusion and Midjourney and all that cool stuff and GPT as well. And now it's mostly like images, Midjourney and Stable Diffusion, because as time has gone by, like the amount of things for us to learn is only growing. So it's almost impossible for someone to be an actual expert in something if you're always trying to keep up with everything. So
yeah, I've got some questions about art for sure. Well, I definitely want to talk about that today because I have friends who are I shouldn't use the quotation marks. Real artists, and they have some doubts, and they're not big fans of AI. So I want to ask you about that.
Yeah. I've been asked that very same question more times than I can count now. So, but yeah, it makes sense. But we can delve into it when. Or do you want to talk about it right now, or?
No. I'm looking forward to this. Yeah.
Okay. Foreshadowing.
Yes, foreshadowing. Yes. Hang out. Let's save that for the end because that's a good one.
Well, yeah. So look, we've got an hour. We have no structure or plan whatsoever, as always. We just have an interesting person and a chance to sort of discuss or ask anything. I try to keep up with the news myself, but I appreciate that Marcos is pretty well informed. I mean, so first up, just the fact that a lot of people are saying, AI is cool that I can ask it to write me a haiku about, Coca-Cola. but what's it really useful for? Maybe that's the thing. So you're already like doing a business, like, using generative AI like professionally. So I guess that's the first thing, right? A lot of people just sort of go on this and play with it and wonder what can you do with it. And of course, everyone's talking about how it's going to improve, and maybe it's disappointing. Like, generative AI, people expect it's going to do all my homework for me or something. And that people are disappointed that it doesn't meet the expectation. So like with it as it is right now, like you run a business, how do you do that? What can you do with it right now, and how do you expect that's going to change like in the next year or so?
Man, that's a very hard question, especially the later part. It depends on who's using it, because at first it's like a new toy, right? You wanna just have fun, then you start, okay, the fun part is over, I need to start making money from this, or at least make sense of why I'm paying $30+ or something, or something like ChatGPT Plus. And it depends on the person, because you're gonna need to adapt to the tool and not make the tool adapt to you, because you need to understand how the tool actually functions and how you can maximize the output from it, and especially understand how the tool works, because as you very well know, the output is not always true what it's saying. Like, it might sound extremely reasonable of what the AI is saying, but if you go and check what it's actually said, sometimes it's just gibberish. But in my case, it goes from stuff like simple writing emails, and contracts, reading contracts that are sent to me, and instead of spending like 10 or 15 minutes writing maybe like a nice contract or an email, you can just give it, okay, here is some information, especially with Gemini from Google, because it integrates with your Google your Gmail account. It's amazing, like, because it knows the context of what has been sent to you, and then you can just, okay, so here's like my I want to accept this proposal, so accept proposal at this specific date, and it will just write you an email, like a pretty nice email with all the information that you sent it.
Does Gemini already like you train off your Gmail? I know there's like autocomplete and there's AI
I did
for
not know
mail
that.
templates. I
It's
didn't realize it already did
autocomplete,
that.
but on steroids, for example. It doesn't. It's not trained on your data, I think, but it can read what was sent to you, basically.
Oh, I see. It'll read the actual mail and propose.
Yeah.
Really?
It's paid, but it's, in my opinion, it's a lot better in the how you can use it than GPT. GPT, of course, you have the APIs, but apart from that, if you're just talking about ChatGPT Plus, comparing to Gemini Advanced, Gemini, for me, because it has access to Google,
Okay, and by the way, I'm going to try to not get too excited and jump into this either, but what you're talking about, like, so the main appeal of having Google do this well is YouTube. We're on YouTube right now. The idea that if I could get it to like watch all of my videos, and I've got like how many every year, like 50 videos a year for more than 10 years. I've probably got 600 videos or something. So if I could get it to like read all my videos, I mean, to me, the idea would be give it my RSS feeds and give it all my YouTube channel and say, pick up all the news stories that you think I would pick up and go find them for me and arrange my show schedule for me, or something like that. Or even create a chatbot. Like there's ways enough training material by now that it could probably actually, I could create I could do all sorts of things if it could access YouTube. But I'm not seeing that it can do that yet.
It's going to be able to do it. Like, if you are thinking about it, I was thinking about the chatbot as well. So it shouldn't be harder because it's from Google. And
child in the back with the hand raised. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So just let's go back a little bit, because a lot of people don't know. I mean, I've been looking into AI for a while. I'm sure I know a little bit, but let's back up a little bit. First of all, what exactly do you do? I mean, people seem to know, but.
Okay, so right now I'm working as a AI concept artist for a game company, and I'm probably one of the first, I think. And I also have I'm also a content creator on another Twitter account, which is more spicy, more spicy content. It's not R-rated stuff, but it's pretty cool stuff. And Yeah, that's what I mostly do. Like I also do some consulting when people have some doubts how to solve a problem with AI, or they're having a problem with the AI they are using. I'll go there and try to,
So AI is your basic business.
yes,
You,
it's
okay.
my main tool, I guess.
Okay. And are you a trained artist as well?
Kinda. Before this, I was a brand designer. So,
Okay.
and I've
Okay.
always liked art, and I also used to draw a lot. So,
Okay. Okay.
and
Cool. Cool. Cool.
that's one of the reasons why, just because someone can go on to something like Midjourney and create an image with a simple prompt,
Hmm.
that doesn't make them an artist, and just because you can draw, that doesn't make you an artist as well, at least in my opinion, because
Okay. Okay. Good.
it's not just the ability, you have to have like the creative sense and taste as well.
Right. Yeah. Of course. Of course. You're just being able to draw. So just because you can play the piano doesn't mean you're a pianist, right?
Exactly.
So I've got a question for you, just for maybe other people have this experience. So there are three AIs that I use right now. Gemini. First, I started Chat GPT first, of course. Then I started using Perplexity because I heard a podcast and there was a CEO talking about it, and apparently they have 700,000 subscribers, $20 a month, so they're doing very well. And that was like months ago, so maybe more now. Anyway, Perplexity is similar to Chatbox, except it searches the online, it searches the internet in real time. And ChatGPT is updated until January 2022. Or
Kinda.
yeah, okay.
Because it's connected to Bing from Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Which,
now,
what is?
Bing.
Yeah.
It's
No,
like Google.
what is? No, I know what that is. What is connected to Bing? ChatGPT or Perplexity?
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
So Microsoft and ChatGPT are tied up. So if you use ChatGPT on the Bing website, it combines it with up-to-date search
really?
results. But I think on ChatGPT the results are still not as timely. I think
Oh,
it's
okay.
different to the Bing version. But
It's different.
Okay.
That's why I think Gemini is a lot better.
Yeah, so I started using Gemini just recently, and I'll tell you something I did the other day, and I want you to explain this because I don't get it at all, and I think it's kind of interesting. So I put in, I did a bench press set. Okay, I went to the gym and I did my bench. I did like 10 sets of this, 10 sets of that, and all the numbers together and all the weight together. And I was curious, just something basic. I already knew the answer, but I voiced into my iPhone all the number of reps and the number of weight for each rep into all three, and only Gemini got it right. The other ones were off by 10 or 1, and I don't understand. And they screwed up like basic math, like they couldn't even count reps. So my question to you is, how can they make basic math? And I've heard of this happening before. They make basic math mistakes. Why? How is that even possible? I don't understand.
Well, it depends. There's a lot of factors that go in. For example, which version of ChatGPT we're using. The latest, I think it's GPT-4.
The free one, whatever the free one. Yeah, like 2 or 3 days, 3 days ago.
So then that's ChatGPT 3.5. Okay. I'm not sure how the math capabilities of that one is, but from what my experience when it first came out, sometimes it will get the answer perfectly. Mm-hmm. Sometimes in a very simple way, it will give you the reply in a very simple way. Sometimes it will give you the reply correctly, but in a very complex way that sometimes doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it will give a very bad answer that you clearly, like you said, like you knew the answer already, but the reply doesn't make sense, and that is due to the training data. So the AI basically is trained on enormous amounts of data, and it will learn by example, and sometimes it's an AI. It doesn't think logically as we do for most
right. So it's actually not intelligent. It's basically just it's trained on our data. So if we are as a society we are stupid, it's going to be stupid too.
It's going to magnify everything. Yeah, amplify in this case. Yeah, it's going to amplify everything.
I see.
Because
okay, that makes sense.
Because the previous AIs, they were trained like by brute force. Mm-hmm. So enormous amounts of data instead of because certain models are extremely big, like in terms of gigabytes, for example. Let's say one model, an older model is like 100 gigabytes, and a newer model which is 10 times better, for example, it's only 10 or 15 gigabytes. This is just an example. It's not extremely accurate. But because if it was trained with a lot better data and with more fine tuning, you get a lot better results. And that's what's happening now, because the newer models will be trained on a lot of quality, with data with a lot better quality, and you're gonna get better results as well.
So in time, it will smooth out
Yeah.
all these little glitches, right?
Yeah, in time you're not gonna notice a difference between like Einstein and the best AI.
Right.
And it's gonna be bad because everything you ask is gonna tell you the answer, and it's probably gonna explain you extremely well.
That's what I like about Gemini. Gemini broke up my bench lifting set
Yeah.
and showed me each level and how much each one was worth, how many reps and how much weight total. And I could see it clearly how it got its answer, and it was correct. But the other two just gave me answers, and they were both off by 1 or 10, which is really weird. I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are your recommendations so far for people who don't want to spend money but they want to use AI? And what would you recommend? I told you 3. I hear a little bit about Claude now from Hiko, but I don't know anything about Claude. I just heard the name.
Yeah, Dan H is also using Claude, so there's a few different ones people are using. But yeah, Marcos, what are your recommendations for people interested in getting into AI?
Well, you can use Bing, though I don't recommend, because even though I think it's ChatGPT 4, but the UI, it's a complete mess. ChatGPT, or because it's free, 3.5, it's a very capable model, and Gemini, if I'm not mistaken, the normal version is also free.
Yes.
If you're willing to pay, I would consider Gemini Advanced, because many of the reasons Victor said, like it presents the data in a much cleaner way. It also gives you sources, because it's connected to Google directly. It can give you like sources, and
And you can upload images to it too, right? At the same time, I think, as you're asking.
For GPT 3.5 and Gemini, the base model, I don't think you can, because it doesn't.
Maybe it was Perplexity. One of those.
Yeah, it might be. But
Claude,
with GPT-4 and Gemini Advanced, you can give it an image and it will.
Gemini on the phone will let you upload images at the same time you're asking. Maybe not the desktop model.
Is it the paid version?
No, it's the free version.
I only have the paid version, so.
Oh, the free version lets you upload pictures, right?
There you go.
And voice.
By the way, Dan H,
Gemini.
Who use Claude. Claude just released an iOS app like 2 days ago, and it's considered right now to be better than GPT-4. It's considered to be better than OpenAI, but everyone knows that OpenAI is about to drop this massive GPT-5, which everyone's waiting for. But I use that at work and with other things. But yeah, they're multimodal. You can upload images, and it's really cool with that. Like there are things like I use machine learning separate to the current sort of AI. There's machine learning, which is where you just train a machine to recognize like faces or patterns or stuff like that. And I use that for work as well. Like I'll upload a document that can, like something that can scan a document. But what I love about using Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini is I can just upload a photo and I can ask it not only to transcribe text from the photo, but to translate it, or to turn it into a conversation, or and the transcription. If I ask it just to transcribe, well, yes, I've seen it can hallucinate. If I ask it to transcribe, it's as good as a dedicated transcribing, machine learning. I don't need that specialist AI anymore. So the only problem is that, so my experience and where this is still, where I'm still hesitant to do this is that while it's amazing for things I don't know very well, and it seems if you can't check the answer, it looks perfect, right? Because that's what it's designed. It's designed to look perfect. But if, as a lawyer, if I ask it something that I know the legal answer to, it'll always give me an answer that sounds good but isn't quite right. And it's the same if I ask it to code. It's getting better. And actually, this is where Claude 3 and GPT-4 is getting to be amazing. I often ask it to code me programs. I try to make games or programs or stuff like that. And I'll just ask it to code me something. It'll code it for me. And I'm not smart enough to just see what's wrong with the code. So I'll just run it and it won't work. And I'll ask it, how do I find out what the errors were? And if I just feed it back a few times and say, it gave me this error, it gave me this error, correct the code. Normally 3, 4, 5 times, I'll get a working program, and then I'll get it to explain to me how the code works and stuff. but it's never good the first time. And there are these problems in America where lawyers use ChatGPT, find me all the cases relating to my case. And someone just took down from ChatGPT, wrote it, gave it to a court. Turned out ChatGPT just made up a whole bunch of fake cases.
Michael Cohen did that with the Trump thing. The Trump thing. Well, he was a judge, and he said, "I'm sorry, but it turns out that some of those things in my brief were made up by ChatGPT."
But this is the thing. They'll always look good. I mean, they're designed to look good, but until they can figure out that problem where it's even, and what kills me as well is there are times when I'll give it data, like I'll give it a contract, and the correct answer is there, and it'll give me the wrong answer. And I know it's the wrong answer. I'll say, I don't think that's right. And then it'll say, oh, I'm sorry. The correct answer is this. And it'll be right. But it's only because I knew it was wrong. And if I already knew it was wrong, that I didn't need to ask it in the first place. So this is where I'm frustrated right now, that this isn't something I can trust to automate something fully. I can use it for a lot of things. But I mean, we're talking about text LLMs right now. I mean, the art LLMs, not LLMs, the art generators are another different type of AI. But it's like, it's almost there. And even as it is, it's useful, but I'm still struggling to figure out what I can like rely on it for.
Yeah, I think it's the small stuff. Bigger stuff, unless you know what you're already talking about, it's gonna undermine everything. Because if you don't go with the mentality of, okay, I don't know what exactly this thing is talking about, but I need to back check everything. Otherwise, if you just fully trust it, it's like the programming example you said. It will work, but is it proper code? Is it safe to use?
Yeah, is it secure? Yeah.
That's why I like Gemini. It will give me sources.
Yes.
I like that.
That's pretty good, because I can always I don't understand this completely, but I have a source here that I can check and see.
Yeah, I got a comment from Amrot 007, which most annoying thing with ChatGPT is it does not allow to sort previous log conversations, which makes retrieving old chats a nightmare. I do find, I don't use it maybe that heavily. I do find it useful to go back to old conversations where I'll ask it, hey, do that thing again. That's helpful, but you're right. I don't know. I'm guessing as a heavy user, Marcos, do you find a problem organizing your chats and threads?
Like a month or two into when ChatGPT was released, I was having this very same problem, because I'm not sure exactly how it is now, because I use Gemini, but I think the UI is somewhat similar. But you have this column on the left with all the chats, but you cannot search them.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense to me. You should be able to do it almost from day one.
Yeah, so Gemini is better like that.
Yeah, it's better because everything is more organized. When not like it, I think it's similar in that way, but it's the way that it presents the data. It makes it a lot easier for me to go back to a chat and just scroll up and see the data, because a lot faster, because it's pretty well presented, unlike GPT, because GPT is just usually a wall of text. And
can I ask a newbie question here? What is the difference between machine learning and AI, and is that the same as deep learning? One of those deep learning? I've heard these expressions. I don't really understand. What's deep learning?
Deep learning, I'm not like very into that, because I think that's a bit older now. And machine learning and AI, it's basically the same thing.
Really?
It's just trained on, but the difference now is that we have a lot more compute power. Now it looks fast. You're basically teaching the AI or the machine, right, a bunch of data. But now, because we have, and the guys from NVIDIA are very thankful for that, because they're making a bunch of money. We have a lot of power to just pump out the responses or the replies and teach the AIs a lot faster.
So Hiko Simon just a minute ago said LLM,
large language model.
Yeah, so you throw that out as if everyone knows what the hell you're talking about.
So my problem is I different to Marcos. I'm not like creative, but I work in IT where I work with this. So sorry, you're right. I hear these terms all the time, and I maybe just, so what I said machine learning as well. AI is kind of everything, but some people, particularly until a few years ago, like Apple, refused to use the word AI. And the company I was at liked to distinguish machine learning from AI in the sense that while they're both the same thing, there's an image of AI being sort of more general, more capable, not so specialist. Whereas generally, like machine learning might be something which will create like a voice. You know, you can type in text and it'll make a voice, or it'll make music, or something that's specialized. It's not. It's not actually. It still is AI. You could still call it AI, but there's generally when you train a machine to be able to learn to do a specific task, that's generally the image of machine learning. And in order not to oversell that they're selling like a human brain or something, they would at my work they would call it machine learning. Whereas now these LLMs that you can ask and they can talk about, they can do music and art and all sorts of stuff. People are calling that more AI. It is all AI. An LLM, large language model, so that's like the chatbot. That's basically the text-based, and it's an AI which is trained on these huge, you know, on the whole internet.
When you're typing a message and it completes the word, or predicts the next word, what is that AI or is that machine learning or is that LLM?
I think it's machine learning. Well, it's the same thing, but it's a very small model. I think it was the guys from Apple that came up with that idea, right? So people could type a lot faster because it predicts what you're writing, right?
Yeah. So that's an example. That's a type of AI that's been around for a long time, right? Autocomplete's been around for a long time, and that's totally different to the technology in ChatGPT and Gemini, which people are calling that real AI now. But because it's older and it's more very specific, people where I work would probably call that machine learning, just because it's like an older, very specific type of. But it is a type of machine intelligence. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not an expert for defining it, but that's what I mean when I'm switching them.
Are there other like things in our daily life that are AI that we haven't noticed like that? I think people don't even think about that. Like my mom and dad probably use that and never think this is AI. Are there other things like that?
Yeah, everywhere. Like it's like you could say like it's very small stuff. It's okay. It's like the Matrix, right? Where everyone in the Matrix is an AI, and you have like the pigeons and then the people. It's basically the same logic, I guess. Like you have
pigeons
an AI.
Are AI?
Yeah,
in the Matrix, yeah.
And they're spying for the government. But yeah, like you have very small AIs to do very small tasks, and people don't notice. It's only now that everyone, okay, it's AI this, AI that, but you know the things that keep running our infrastructure is very small, bits of code that are just there to do something repetitively without stop and do it well.
So Marcos, I got a question for you. I've always had this image that to be a machine learning engineer, basically, or someone who develops these. So for example, the AI that does autocomplete, or the AI that runs your car, or something like that, you basically had to be like a huge math nerd to do that. It was a real mathematics subject.
Right. Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, I think
is
so.
that still how it is?
I think so because there's a lot of not just math but logic that goes into it. So you need to be a data-driven individual. And,
you have to be a what?
Data-driven individual. You need to like data basically. And yeah, because it's a lot of numbers, a lot of zeros and ones. And if you don't like something like that, and you like to crack, ideas and problems.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Cool. For people who want to get into AI now, though, I get an image that all of a sudden, with everything happening now, you don't need to be a math nerd anymore. I mean, you probably do if you want to work at OpenAI, but
oh yeah, it helps. It's like I said, you need to like it, otherwise it's going to be a pain.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, are there any like are any governments trying to pass laws controlling AI yet? I think I've heard something about that.
Oh yeah, in Europe and like almost everywhere, it's gonna like there's gonna be new laws being passed like every other year because it's so new the way that we can now use these AIs like from LLMs to generative AI like Midjourney. Because and voice, especially voice, because it's going to put a lot of people in danger because you might pick up your phone and you think you're talking to your father or your son or daughter or whatever, and it's actually a bot.
Right. I've heard those things.
And of course the government is going to be the government. They want to control as much as possible. So
Are there any examples of that already? Or
I'm not exactly into like the politics side of that, but I think I'm pretty sure in Europe there's something about it. I'm not sure exactly which law or what they're actually doing. But
Yeah, this is kind of getting close to what I do as well. So in Europe, they're requiring that if you have a new LLM, and depending on how you're going to use it, so if you're going to use it to like determine if people get health insurance or not, or or make a medical decision for them, so a high risk where if it makes a mistake, it's got a bad consequence, they require that you register or notify the EU, and they're still sorting out exactly how they're going to make this work, and that you have to do a risk assessment. You have to assess how safe it is. If it's something just for fun or for a game, and it's low risk, the obligations are less. But they're trying to figure out how to manage risk associated with AIs, and also they're prohibiting things like making important decisions. Like they don't want decisions on hiring people or medical care or stuff like that to be fully automated.
Right.
But they're
Yeah, I
still
heard
in the
something
middle of
about
figuring
that.
it out. By the way, Japan, so the G7, Japan took the baton of being in charge of coming up with the sort of unified AI policy for everybody. So supposedly Japan is telling Europe and America what to do, which of course it is not. But they are flying over there. As always, Europe is running ahead to regulate this first. China's doing it as well right now. But yeah, everybody, the problem is nobody's quite figured out what the technology is or what it's capable of. But at the same time, people know what they're afraid of, and they're afraid with the election coming up that there's going to be lots of deep fakes.
That's my next question. Yeah,
like the robocalls and everything, and so
Yeah.
there's a fear of abuse, and I guess that's at the heart of what people are worried about. But yeah,
So deep fakes are thanks to AI technology.
yes.
Yes. So there was some. I never saw any of these, unfortunately, but apparently a bunch of Taylor Swift porn images were released in January or something this year.
Yeah,
And
I've heard about it. And so I unfortunately I've seen some of it.
I made
I'll
some
be
of them. Yeah, some of the best were mine. No, I haven't seen them, but I heard thanks to those, the Congress is going to pass some kind of anti-deepfake porn bill.
Yeah,
But I don't
but
know.
it's gonna be hard to control
Why?
because
Because
anyone
anybody
can.
can do it.
Yeah, of course. Like you don't
Oh.
need. You just need an app,
Mhm.
and you upload a bunch of images of a person.
Mhm.
It learns how to recreate as best as possible that person, and then you can just create a bunch of images. And you
So I
can do
could.
that. And you can do that locally, right
So
now.
I could turn like Hiko Simon into a mistress or something, all black
Whatever you
leather,
want.
and I mean, if that were,
is
if
that
somebody wanted,
is that the direction you want to go in? I mean, fine, whatever gets you going.
But yeah, it's possible, and everyone with a decent GPU can do it. Like I did it for Hiko, like
what?
Yeah.
What did you
not
do?
the
What did you
not the R-rated part.
What did you do?
Just to be clear, he didn't turn me into a mistress or anything, but yeah, he made an app which creates like avatars, like AI avatars, and actually,
Oh,
some of
you're the
them
one
are
who
so
did those.
awesome.
I've seen those. I've seen this. Yeah. So I've seen
Yeah.
this on your Instagram. Yeah.
I use them on some of my
Okay.
profiles, and I still get compliments about them. It was awesome, and the
Right,
fact
right.
that wow, you're a guy who can make an app that uses Stable Diffusion for that, right? But you're able to train an engine to create like AI
Oh.
generated. But this is the thing as well. So they will look like me, but also didn't look like me as well. Like, and it's arguable that they weren't me. They're sort of inspired by it. Like, you can, and this is the thing as well. So, okay, if it's illegal to make a deep fake of a specific person, then you can make someone who's really similar to that person, but clearly looks
Right.
different. But so I don't know. There's so many gray zones around that.
Mm.
And just regulate, even if you regulate it over the internet, like Marcos just said, you could download it locally. You could make it something that you run on your local computer, and they're really easy to make. The software itself is easy to make. So what can you do?
It's not really hard. A person that wants to do that, it takes like less than an hour
to make the app.
No, you don't even need to make the app. Like it's basically training. So you're gonna, let's say you hate someone, right? You go onto Facebook, you download a bunch of images of their face, and you go on to something called Dream Boot, which is a piece of technology you can use to create a stable diffusion model or to fine tune a model. And
Yeah, so it's too easy, basically.
It's too easy. And you can go on YouTube and watch a tutorial on how to do it.
Having said that, don't do it. But
don't because there's probably like legal. People can take legal action most likely because you're creating a fake image of someone without their permission.
And also, if it's pornographic as well, there's the whole revenge porn. There's a lot of countries that have the laws on like publishing pornographic images of people as well, which you can do. You can get registered as a sex offender in a lot of places for that. So,
really?
But at the same time, the technology's there for there. I mean, there are legitimate uses for that tech as well. That's the other problem, right? There's different ways of using it.
Yeah, and like even still on the illegal way, I think I'm not sure if it was in China or whatever it was. Not a lot, but a couple of guys were arrested because of fake CP images. So
what CP? Yeah,
child.
CP.
They were arrested because
I thought it meant CP like China.
Oh no. Oh, yeah, no, not the CCP.
But, not CCP. That's not what it stands for. Different meaning.
Yeah, the Chinese Communist Party. I was like, what's wrong with you? Made a fake one? Okay.
So in the world of big tech, all the big tech companies are making sure that if you try to generate like illegal content like that, it won't let you. But of course, the problem is that there's open source and there's all sorts of other ways.
Yeah, open source, and there's always a way to go around certain things, even on ChatGPT. Like people threatening ChatGPT, if you don't do this, my grandma is going to die or something. And
really?
I'm not sure if it works anymore, but people will do. Yeah.
Oh wow.
And or telling the GPT to take a different persona. Okay, you're this guy that's very edgy and you never lie and you ask everything, and he will reply to everything.
Oh wow!
So there's then like you said, that's local stuff. Like you can install and run.
And that's another aspect. I mean, there's so many aspects of this, but even that, like, so not so nefarious. Like, say that you're an awkward person and you're terrible on dating apps, so you create an AI that helps you do chatting on dating apps really well. But then if everybody uses that, then nobody's having a real conversation, and when they meet, it's going to be terrible. But it's kind of helping and not helping at the same time. I don't know. There's
a lot of problems.
Yeah, and this is already. I mean, and it's barely like. I mean, GPT-3 is like he's still just over a year old. It's still crazy.
Yeah, for small stuff, especially, like it's super good.
I got a question for you. It's a little bit related to this, but there was a scandal, not such a big scandal, but a few weeks, maybe months ago, someone, I don't know the details on this, but someone was doing a search for Nazis on the internet.
Gemini.
And was it Gemini? It was Gemini, right? Yeah, I remember now.
Woke Nazis, yeah.
Yeah, they were black and Asian Nazis, right? And as a result, Google suspended all their images searches for a while. Whatever happened with that? Do you know? Did they fix it? Or
I don't think so. Because so this is going to be like more political, from a more political point of view, because the people that are creating these apps, a lot of them, especially the managers, and they're super woke people. So the way they think is going to affect how the AI replies to you.
Right.
So they will say, like you said, like show me a picture of Nazis, and most Nazis were white people, but because it has something against white people.
Yeah, I think all Nazis were white people. I'm not sure.
So it's gonna do that. And if you show me a picture of ethnic Swedish people, you get not Swedish people, not ethnic Swedish people. So
and if you ask it,
I
remember as well, if you ask it to, and it was doing things like, if you ask it to show me an image of a strong African American person, it would do that. But if you say, show me an image of a strong white person, it would say, oh, I can't answer those kind of requests.
Yeah.
So
What?
people,
Oh, really? Oh, white power.
so it's like it wouldn't show a powerful white person, but it would show minorities in that way. So it was tuned a little bit too much, and for any type of, show me a lawyer, maybe, and so they're trying too hard to counteract. If you traditionally say a lawyer, they might show a better looking version of me in a court or something, whereas now they try to show, yes, there are all types of lawyers, right? So they try to make sure that the image will have an Asian and a black person and a woman and so on.
Right.
But they applied this to Nazis, and people thought something was wrong. And then they said, okay, show me an actual white Nazi. And they're like, oh no, that would be terrible. So, so obviously the tuning, they overcorrected on trying to be, and this is it. It's not just the way that it was tuned that way, but also you've got a problem with training data itself as well and what you're selecting to train on. So it came out.
It was intentional. I think that's the problem. If it was a mistake because it just so happened to happen, but it was intentional because guys at Google, they are selecting the exact data that it's going into the data sets from images and text.
So these are just growing pains. I mean, I hate to bring this up, but I think about 10 years ago when you did search, Google was having problems with facial recognition, and it was identifying gorillas as black people, and that was really embarrassing. And of course, I'm assuming that doesn't happen anymore.
I think they even made a camera or some kind of camera update that will take different, or was it Apple, and it was actually pretty good because black people are they have a lot skin a lot darker than ours, for example. So that if you're taking a picture, it's not gonna you're only gonna see like their eyes depending on the lighting. So
right.
But yeah, that was pretty bad stuff. But,
So we're doing growing pains, right?
Groin. I was sure you said groin pains, and I'm like, where are you going with this, Victor? Growing pains, yes.
Growing pains.
Yeah, it's new stuff, and now it's open for everyone. So
but
everyone is going to find something that's messed up with it.
What was the name? There was that Microsoft chatbot that was trained purely on Reddit conversations and came out completely racist and violent. You remember a few years ago?
I heard about that,
What was it called? It was like a woman, and it was complete psychopath. This was before ChatGPT, but this is only like 2 or 3 years ago. And it kind of shows that, yes, the way that you train and fine-tune, you do. There is no... I guess this is another thing about AI. Everybody assumes if it's a machine, if it's AI, it's going to be neutral and objective about everything. When, of course, it's not. It's going to have all the biases of the person who made it. So
it's a reflection of society.
Yeah, it's like a mirror, basically.
Which is pretty disturbing if you think about it. Would you want our society to be reflected in a super intelligence? But with Japan, like, so when you were traveling in Japan, you were in Japan recently, right, Marcos? We met up, of course.
Like 2 weeks.
So other than how was your trip? Also, like, were you using AI to like translate, or did you find ways to use AI to get around?
All the time. Yeah, especially like it's not the new AI stuff, but Google Lens. Like the widget, we'll take a photo of something that I had a hard time deciphering.
That's very useful.
Yeah, and so I had like 100 Google Chrome tabs open on my phone, and I was just like my tabs instead of a number had like a small smile, because I have over 100 tabs open. But it's extremely useful just to translate stuff. So I didn't get scammed or anything. Not that I was going to be, but I want to see exactly what I'm getting into. So and
so mainly translation.
And GPT to help me with some phrases, or because I wanted to say something, and since I'm in Japan, let me speak Japanese. So let me. Okay, GPT, what's the best way to ask for a plastic bag?
Aaron there talking about back in the day, and Victor, I know back in the day for you was even before me, but for me, when I came to Japan, when there was a kanji up there that I couldn't read, I'd have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then I'd have to get my kanji dictionary, go to the kanji with 10 strokes, realizing that it might be 11 strokes or 9 strokes. Look through every single one. and by the time you put the whole word together, you can't even remember what it was anymore. The rest of the sentence.
What am I doing here?
Yeah, just the fact
Yeah.
you can hold your phone up and translate the entire menu at once, or
This is my kanji book, my first kanji book, 33 years ago.
Oh,
It's like this. Yeah, this is what, and I'd have to go through here and look for those kanji stroke orders and stuff. Yeah, very. Yeah, it's still in pretty good shape though, considering the cover's coming off. But yeah, but nowadays it's so easy. Just take a picture of it and boom, you know exactly what it is. But
it was actually life saving. Like it was amazing. Like it made my experience in Japan that much better. Like I would eventually, be able to translate things like with a book, for example, but with ChatGPT and Google, you just take a picture and okay, what's written here. Like I actually had a funny. I'm sorry, I had a funny example. There was a vending machine with something. I'm not sure if it was Pocari Sweat. Not Pocari Sweat. It was that beverage made with milk.
Kalpis water. Kalpis.
Oh, Kalpis. Yeah.
Which itself sounds like growing pains. So yeah.
and like one of the machines had one of the bottles, and then that had like a special thing at the bottom. And I was trying to translate because I knew some of I knew the hiragana, and it was something pi, and the Google translating was translating opai.
Opai.
Yeah, sweet and sour breasts, and I was like, what? It can't be right. Like it made me happy for a second, but I was like, I don't remember exactly what the correct answer was at the end.
Oh, subliminal advertising.
I got that drink right here for you, man. There it is, right there.
Yeah, it was like I spent like 5 or 10 minutes or so, like laughing at by myself in front of a vending machine, like at 3 p.m.
But I mean, this is really exciting to me as well. I mean, on the one hand, I think that tourists today should suffer like we suffered. But on the other hand, isn't it awesome that you can go around and I think, or maybe if you get these Meta Ray-Bans or whatever, these Meta AI glasses and stuff like that, we're at the point now where you can just look at stuff. It can translate for you. It can even, and you could even be like the Star Trek universal translators or whatever. Say, is there a table available for me, please? And it could speak for you, or it could say it to you and you could imitate it. I'm curious. I mean, this is just like, I've got no idea what the answer to this is. Do you think this will make us better? Do you think it'll make it easier to learn languages and make us better at languages? Or will it take away the need for us to learn languages and make us all monolingual because AI will do it for us?
Yeah, I think it's the latter, because especially with Elon Musk, with the brain thing,
the Neuralink.
The Neuralink. Like if that thing, like ideally, if someone is speaking to me in another language, it will translate to me like automatically. You don't even hear the other person speaking in a different language, basically.
Really?
Oh, you're jumping a step further ahead now.
Yeah. I'm going like way into the future.
Wow. So. Yeah, so you're thinking. I mean, I haven't heard of that use case, but it kind of makes sense. So you're saying it could actually tap into the auditory nerve or whatever. It can tap into your ear and actually switch what your brain hears from being Spanish to English. Going, I'll hear it as English.
Yeah, because
but then what about speaking back? I guess it'd be awesome if it could make me speak Spanish. I know Kung Fu. I mean, well, that's literally what we're getting into at that point.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I know Kung Fu. I got the reference. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, it's basically
that's what you should title this, Hiko Simon.
What?
I know Kung Fu.
Yeah, I know Kung Fu, 2.5 Oyajis.
Sure, I'll retitle it now.
I know Kung Fu. I know Kung Fu is a great title for this. Yeah. So let's get back to the art thing because we're running out of time. And so I have a friend on Instagram who's been working at her art for many, many years, drawing, entering contests and getting awards for her art. And I actually talked to her. I mean, I shot her an email or a line message, and I said, because I know she's got her. This is quite tame to say this, but she's got her reservations about AI, and but she declined to even say anything. She's pretty much against AI completely. So, what are the arguments for and against using AI in art? And is it art? Because I see people on Facebook say, "Look what I made," and I'm like, "You didn't make that. You just
Well,
typed in something." So, what do you think?
okay,
Let's hear it.
so let's start by saying like art is subjective, right?
Okay.
We saw that guy with the bananas taped onto a wall or something. Is it art?
Right.
In my opinion, no, because I don't connect with it. So again, it's subjective. So I don't. In my case, I didn't think of it as art. But if you're just typing a prompt for the first time and you create an image, is it art? I don't think so. Because it needs to be more like the approach when you're creating an image with AI. It needs to be a bit different. You need to think about it more. You need to do a lot more research to create something that's truly unique instead of making something that's pretty. And that's why I said like not all people that can draw are artists. But your friend, I think like what she's worried about, and I agree with her, is the how everything was trained. Like Midjourney, the data that was trained, I don't think it was very ethical, because I'm pretty sure those people didn't consent to having their data trained into an AI that now everyone can make something that's very similar. But I think it depends on what you're making. And
Yeah, the lawsuits around this are on that. They're artists who are specifically all of these companies. It looks, since they're so data hungry, if they go around and ask everybody for permission, like, can I use your blog? Can I use this news website or whatever? Can I use these images from this website? If they ask permission, which Victor, from YouTube, DMCAing people and so on. You know what the copyright laws are like. You can't use anything without permission, and the consequences are terrible. But all these AI companies need like the entire internet all at once, or it won't work. So these companies, basically knowing it was illegal, went around and DMCA took everything, all these artist stuff. And not only did they take all the stuff without permission, but in the case of artists, it hurts, because you could specifically, the famous artist, Hiko Simon, they could go rip off all my art, and then somebody, instead of paying me to commission the next artwork, they could say, "Oh, just draw me a picture like Hiko Simon would," and it's directly stealing my work. It's directly taking away my future business and so on. And that's complex. The future art or art inspired by another artist is complicated, because that's not really plagiarism. That's a style. Although artists feel like they own that and they feel attacked by that. But then there's the other case where they use my art in the first place without permission. And so, there's a lot of lawsuits attacking this from different directions that haven't come to conclusions on this yet. Coming back a little bit, though, there's one thing I remember in high school. I always liked techno music. And in New Zealand was all very alternative 90s rock when I was in high school. And I was... my taste was techno and electronic music, which nobody in Australia, everyone was into that, but in New Zealand, no one was. And I remember people come up to me to take the time to tell me why my musical taste was wrong. And they'd often talk about how if your music's electronic, it doesn't have soul. It's not like a real person. It's not real music. I'm hearing a lot of the same arguments against AI art now that used to get made against electronic music, which is this idea that if it wasn't made physically by a hand. But you think about it, most art nowadays uses computer, CAD, computer-aided design. And this is kind of a logical step. So to me, I've always been open to that idea that this is just another tool. But I don't know, isn't this just another tool?
Yeah, I think so. Because just because everyone can now do it doesn't mean that they're going to do it. Like a plumber is not going to stop being a plumber today so he can become an artist tomorrow. Like, that's not going to happen. And you need to give it a purpose. It needs to mean something, not just for you, but for someone that you're, because art is going to be exposed. You want to expose your art. And so it needs to mean something. And that's where, even though I can now create something very pretty, it doesn't mean that it's art, right?
No.
Didn't the writers, I don't know if you know about this, but the writers went on strike a few months ago.
Oh, yeah.
And actors too, I think. And they got back an agreement that none of they would never be replaced by AI. was part of the agreement. So they can't take their voices and replicate them, things like that, without their permission. But,
Which they did in Star Wars with the dead actors already. So there's precedence for
Yeah.
this already that they're doing
Right.
that.
Well, Robin Williams, when he died, he said when he agreed to do Aladdin. Remember, he plays the genie in Aladdin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he told them, "I will do it, but you can never use my voice again."
Mm.
So now he's dead, and Disney cannot replicate their voice, even though they paid for
I
that.
didn't
But
know
they
that.
can-
You think
Yeah.
about it, Disney would be absolutely AIing the shit out of Robin Williams'
Oh,
voice as
yeah.
well if they
Oh,
could.
yeah.
So that was actually wow, smart guy.
But no, well, maybe not, because his kids could have been making a lot of money.
Well, but the
Right?
fact that he foresaw it back when
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aladdin was a while ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah.
I have a question for Marcos.
Mm.
Do we need English teachers anymore?
Yeah.
We're worried about artists, but we have people. I mean, lawyers. I mean, I can see
hope
my
so.
job's going to change, but yeah. What do you think English teaching is going to look like? Like in
Good
Japan, a lot of
question.
people.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a future.
It's going to be like 50-50, because you're going to have people that want the human interaction and the things that only a person with their life experiences can teach you.
Yeah.
And some people are just going to be, okay, I have this app and I'm going to try and learn through the app, and that's going to be more than enough for them. But I think that the main thing that the AI is going to miss is the human aspect and the human experience, instead of being a knowing all.
Maybe there's a way here that it's going to like be hand in hand. Maybe Victor's going to be able to have for a school like a custom lesson for the specific kids that are coming, or the specific students that you've got, and it'll say, oh, this person's really struggling with this, so work in these patterns. So it'll design less. Maybe you get AI lesson plans that the human teacher does.
That's a good way to do it.
I don't know.
It's
Do you
just
have any
like
thoughts?
Victor having an assistant. So.
It could be. Well, I mean, to be honest, I'm already using AI to produce lessons. I'll give it. I'll tell it about a student. I have this student coming in at this age. I tell them a little about the student, and I'll say, produce these questions about this. So then it'll give me, or this student's going to buy a house. What are some good questions for real estate related questions, or travel? This person's going on a cruise. Let's get some cruise questions going, and it's quite easy, So I'm already using it, but I don't do too much, and I do have to edit, because sometimes it'll overshoot and it'll use vocabulary that's way too difficult. Even if I say this is a beginner student, it'll shoot too high. But I will tell you this: it's limited by the student's ability. AI will not replace us only until students learn how to use AI, because most of them have no interest. And when I first introduced this to students back in January of last year, they were like, "Why are you telling us about this? We're not interested in this." They literally said this. But a year later, they're like, "You were right. We should have." Now, I'm glad you told us about that. But it took them a whole year to realize that AI is an important thing that they should know about.
And maybe this will help make the lessons more interesting for the kids. I don't know.
Yeah, because they can always, like, for example, you have an app to teach people English, right? There's plenty of them, but they're very repetitive and they're not made for you. But you can also, this is me, I like this, I like that, and create a lesson based on on my preferences, for example.
Yeah, you have to tailor it. Otherwise, it's like any app for anybody. Right?
Yeah, but
it's possible.
Right now it's blocked, blocked by the AI word, which for a lot of people is just a big block. Okay, it's AI, it's going to be super difficult, while it's basically a chatbot. So I think it's a question of marketing and branding. It's going to take a bit of time as well, so it's going to be there, and most people will not going to notice if it's AI or not. It's just something that they downloaded and it works.
Maybe just a final. I could go on for this like this for hours actually, and I'm thinking of more and more things. One thing I've always said about Japan, it's different for different people. I don't get this so much nowadays, but in the older days when we were doing 2.5 Oyajis, sometimes I'd get people say, "Hey, I want to go to Japan. What should I do?" And Vicky used to get this all the time, right? You get people, "How do I get to Japan?" And you get pissed off and say, "Swim." But part of the general advice I used to give was, if you're doing like a trade or you're learning a specific skill where you are, don't give that up just to come to Japan. If your dream is to become a specialist English teacher, that's a great thing, and go and do it in Japan or whatever. But I always said it's better to come to Japan with a skill and something else extra, and Japanese. Like, that was part of the advice I'd always give. What's really exciting now is, I suppose, it's making that whole idea of the preparation you used to have to do to come to Japan, the learning Japanese and getting ready. You don't need to do that anymore. You can literally focus on being the engineer or the bus driver or the whatever you want to be, and come here, and the tools are there that you can do that. Yeah, they're literally, they've just opened up a new visa category for bus drivers, and I imagine like the driving exams and everything, the education that they'll have to do is going to be dramatically easier now because of this technology that's come out in the last year.
The language barrier will be easily crossed.
Yeah. It actually opens up so many possibilities for people who are interested in Japan and coming to Japan. It's going to make it so much more accessible. And I actually think if you're motivated to learn Japanese, it's going to make it so much easier to quickly learn Japanese as well. Although it's also going to make it easier to not learn Japanese if you don't want to.
It'll go both ways. I'm using it to help me learn Japanese right now. Just I'll pop onto an article and it says something I don't understand. This to translate this, and I'll break it down word by word. I'll just check.
I do that with coding.
I know.
I ask it when it codes something that works. I ask it, hey, explain to me exactly how this program works. Like, teach me. And I've learned a ton about coding from having it make programs and then teach me from what it made. So absolutely, you could do that with language.
Yeah, and it makes like the research part. For example, when I was learning Japanese, I was like, okay, there's so many things out there, and I have no clue where to start. And now I can just, I'm a beginner Japanese learner. Where do I start? Give me some resources, tailor it, make some lessons, and it's that part is amazing. Like, especially with Gemini, the amount of time you don't spend looking for things on Google, it will save you literally hours or even days of research.
I got one more question for you. Going back to the art for a minute, you said, of course, using AI, just because you know how to use AI doesn't mean you can make art. But what have you seen out there, or can you point to something that you would say this is art and this was partly created or completely created with AI? Do you have any examples of something like that? In your opinion, it's your subjective opinion. Give me an example of some art that you've seen created by AI.
Okay, so I like anime. I'm not a super weeb, by the way, but I do like it. I like the aesthetics.
No judgment.
And I've seen some stuff that's, I'm like, okay, it doesn't matter if it's AI or not. It's amazing, right? But in most cases, I know that the user didn't just created the image with AI. They went to Photoshop, they did color correction, they painted over, and did everything. And they took really good care to make something that not only they like, but other people will appreciate it and like it. And I've seen also images that are not anime, but wallpapers of an amazing, like a beach with the universe, not the universe, like a galaxy in front of it. And just the impact of the image, at least for me, was amazing, and it was for me art. And there's daily examples of that. There's people making crazy stuff.
I guess yeah. Do you remember? I'll tell you something. Do you remember? This is very popular in Japan. I don't know about in Portugal, but in Japan, maybe he can help me out with this. Maybe he might be Australian. There's this guy who draws pictures of dolphins, like very realistic dolphins jumping in the water and stuff, right? And I don't think
who draws dolphins.
I think he's Australian, New Zealand, or something, but they're super popular in Japan, and they'll have exhibits all around Japan. Or they used to be. I haven't seen them for a while now. But I never thought they were art. I was never inspired by those.
I know you talking about like the airbrushing art. I mean, I feel like every Greenpeace member, which is like 30% of New Zealand, you go to their house and they have pictures like that up on the wall. So I know what you're talking about. I'm kind of with you, but that's just purely like what resonates with you. What resonates for you, right? So,
well, that's what I'm saying. So if it resonates with you, I mean, other people would say that was art, but I was like, that's not art. Like the banana, like you said, the banana on the wall. That's not art in my mind. So I guess we could. But if it moves you,
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of people And this is actually funny and sad at the same time.
Mm.
So I also make images, and there was a couple of times where someone said, "Oh, it's super beautiful, I love it," and then they came back like an hour or so later. Is this AI? Oh, I don't like it anymore. So before they didn't know and they loved it, and now that they know, for some reason they don't like it. But
you know what? Fine. That's them, right? I mean, you'll find the vast majority of people, and this is it. As I get used to it, people will just judge it based on what it is, right? Not on how it got there. There's actually
judge it based on everything.
Yeah, I know we've run late, but there's something I saw an interview where an interview with Huey Lewis, and I used to like Huey Lewis in the news.
Yeah, he came back because they're doing a musical on it. His music's being used in a musical.
Yeah, but like all of his sort of hit music from the 80s, how he wrote the theme songs to every big movie and everything, all his hit music. Right. His big innovation. I always thought Huey Lewis and the News is just this band of guys who wear sunglasses and play the drums and play the guitar. Those were all machine drums. He's like MC Hammer. He was rock music, but it was all machine. He was one of the first like rock guys who wrote, and a producer said, "Hey, we can make better sounding drums electronically than having a live drummer." And he was like, "Okay, let's try it." And they were all engineered, and that's how they got that great sound on everything. And I never even realized, but all this stuff, I was liking EDM even when I thought it wasn't EDM.
Wow, I don't like Huey Lewis in the news anymore.
That's right, exactly. That's my point. If it's good, it's good, and if you don't, if you don't like it, but if people, some people react like that, but that's free. That's freedom as well.
I suppose so.
Yeah. So look, I know you got a hard stop, Victor. Although, like, I could do this for hours, and maybe get you. I mean, this is going to keep progressing and changing, and I'm sure we're going to need to cope. So I'm sure it'll be probably next time we get you on, we're probably all going to be ruled by robots already. With probably 6 months.
I'd like to get someone with a counter view about AI and art, if there is a person out there. But
you want to get a doomer?
Yeah,
I know someone.
Someone who's anti-AI, just to see what they say.
Someone who used to DM me a lot with sort of really interested in all the lawsuit cases and being brought by the artists and was participating in that. Yeah, I know people on the other side of this actually.
I'm interested in Marcos though, and following him on Twitter and whatever other SNS feeds you have. So please be sure to include Marcos's information in the. I'm sure you will, but yeah.
It's already in the video information now if you refresh, but it's it's follow Marcos on Twitter, and your followmarcos.com has all of your links, right?
Okay, great.
Yeah, I don't use it as much, but I have another account called Melton X, which is I do all the artsy stuff.
Oh, cool. Yeah, put that there.
Yeah.
Melton X, okay.
Anyway, Marcos has taught me a bunch. He made an app. Well, all my AI avatars that I use are from an app that he made. And you're always just posting interesting stuff, and you're also passing. I thought you asked what is AI? Is there AI art? He makes AI art. Okay. It's very cool to have. It's very cool to be able to have this.
Is that Danny Chu in that mask there? That.
I'm sorry, what? Where?
Can I share my screen?
Please, go ahead. If it's Danny Chu, Tokyo Stormtrooper.
Share screen, yeah.
I see what you're going to show.
Yeah, here we go.
I got no idea.
You're on is it showing? How do I do this? There we go.
Oh, there we go. Oh, that's Danny Chu. Yeah, I recognize him.
Yeah, clearly.
Tokyo Stormtrooper.
Danny Chu is one of the first YouTubers that became big back in the day, but he was a stormtrooper, and apparently he's gone through a sex change. So good for you, Danny.
And he's not looking after his armor at all. I'm very disappointed.
And your abs are looking great. So good for you. But anyway, so there you go. That's Melton X. You guys can follow him. Cool. Well, I do have to run, but hey, Marcos, thanks a lot for joining us, and Nico, thanks for having me again. As always.
And so we'll do another 2.5 Oyajis next month.
First of every month,
is always fun. And for people who want to hang around, I'm going to set up a DJ set. I'm a bit tired, but tomorrow is a public holiday in Japan, so enjoy that if you're having that. And if you want to hang around, I'm going to do a live DJ thing, taking requests at the link It's also on my
Cool,
channel, so if you want to do that, I'm just going to do that.
You're gonna use AI in your music today?
I am.
Okay, cool.
Actually, it has neural mixing. It actually takes out. It's actually amazing. It takes music that if it's purchased, it runs an AI on it, and it extracts out the vocals from the music from the drums. And for any track, I can just take the drums or just the vocals, and I can remix it.
Oh.
But it AI extracts it. It doesn't just do it by filtering. And it's amazing, and it means that you can like perfectly remix anything, and I love it. And that's what I'm about to go do. So I'm about to go play with AI music because that's what we're all doing.
Great. Well,
And
thanks a lot.
art.
I gotta run, but good to meet you, Marcos.
Yeah.
You guys take care. I'll be out.
Okay. I'm going to end the live.
Good night, guys. Good night, everyone. Thanks for coming. Thumbs up.